Welcome back to the finale of What If Ahsoka Sensed Anakin's Fall. Thank you to those of you who watched any of the other parts of this video. To recap what happened in those parts in case you haven't seen them, Ahsoka had helped Shakti to intervene in the battle between Windu, Anakin and Palpatine, but with Anakin soon taken away by the Sith, and the clone troopers subsequently under the influence of Order 66, the Jedi are still on the back foot. Ahsoka had been injured saving Obi-Wan from Maul, but has now recovered to join the Jedi Master from his trip to retrieving Padme on Tatooine, as the Jedi aim to stop Palpatine and his plans to clone Anakin on Kamino. Awaiting the first wave of Jedi forces were the former allies in Recusant Venator class Star Destroyers and a mix of Imperial destroyers commissioned by Palpatine, which attacked them upon their exit from hyperspace. General Windu diverts the attack to the largest Imperial Star Destroyer, aiming to take out the main control center, and the clone pilots in the Arc 170 starfighters bombard the surface of the ship's hull, but the ion turrets defending the command tower prove to be an impenetrable obstacle. Choosing to abandon his battle meditation, Yoda stood at the bridge to face their target, and using the Force to temporarily disable the shields and reduce the turret fire, the clone troopers managed to cut off the communication between the fleet. But the battle had only just begun, and the Empire responded by deploying 6 dozen brand new TIE class fighters, which vaporized the Old Republic starfighters with their superior maneuverability and armaments, leaving the Jedi in retreat until Obi-Wan brought his own fleet. Along with Ahsoka, they could faintly detect the presence of Anakin on the planet below, and the cover fire provided by their fleet enabled them to try and find the Jedi Knight. The previously quiet planet was now a scene of chaos, as the cloning facility was in a state of a small civil war, with a conflict of interest being waged between the clones and the stormtroopers. Obi-Wan was able to see through the blood left behind, and running through the corridors, he could see his padawan, or so Obi-Wan thought. Unlike the clones of Anakin on Temira City, these clones were further along in their development program, and from above himself and Ahsoka, he heard the echoing voice of Palpatine ordering for the clones to attack. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan found themselves surrounded by a legion of Anakins, and even though they were not as powerful as the real Anakin, they struggled to hold them off, diving into the sea, soon to be rescued by the native air whales. The two Force users had to find an alternative, and a solution soon presented itself in the form of a modified Omicron-class attack shuttle and its occupants Clone Force 99. Having escaped the compound and the betrayal of Crosshair, the defective clones were able to guide the Jedi to the summit of Toboka City, where Tech had identified the strongest signal, and carefully cutting a hole through to a maintenance corridor, the real Anakin is revealed. Obi-Wan frees his Padawan from his confinement, but this had triggered an alarm, and the sound of a group of all-terrain tactical enforcers marched towards them. With their combined might, the Jedi lift one of the ground walkers in the path of the others, and they jumped out of the open space onto the Havoc Marauder with Anakin in their arms. The pursuing Imperial fighters could only delay their path to the mobile medical station, and there Yoda is on hand to try and dispel the dark side that Anakin had been exposed to. The previous hate-fueled eyes had returned to their normal colour, much to the relief of everyone surrounding him, but upon hearing that the Emperor was still alive, the Jedi Knight barged his way to the missions room and began issuing orders to infiltrate Palpatine's defences. The Sith Lord had not had the time to change the fleet formation, and Anakin was able to use his knowledge of his master to surround the Imperial fleet. Leaving the aerial battle to Obi-Wan, Windu, Anakin and Yoda took a single attack shuttle to the biggest destroyer, which had been said to be his own, and marching through the ship with purpose and intent, Palpatine suddenly rose in front of them on a platform. Anakin wasted no time in charging at his old master, and holding off the lightning attack with his blade. The other Jedi tried to capitalize, but they rebounded off of a Force barrier, and hurled various crates in Palpatine's direction. With the Sith Lord off balance, Anakin quickly and silently impaled him before turning away to the waiting transportation. Returning to Coruscant, the previously fearful senators were there to welcome the Jedi, and with the true identity of Palpatine exposed, the Jedi's reputation had been restored. The New Republic was established following the fall of the short-lived Empire, and across the galaxy, those who had collaborated with the previous regime were rounded up by the clone troopers then placed on trial. Anakin was able to return to the Jedi, despite his trip to the dark side, and raising Luke and Leia in the Jedi Temple with the help of Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, they grew to be as powerful as their father, who had fulfilled his prophecy in bringing balance to the Force. That is it for What If Ahsoka Sensed Anakin's Fall. If you enjoyed this What If, please like this video, turn on the notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.